Unbelievable. Oh my goodness.
SHW. This is our wrestling.
This is insane. Are you kidding me right now? Hey, what is going on here? The action is fast and furious. You never know who's going to show up in SHW.
Brandon Benefield, Gerard Bonner, and Diana Michelle.
Business is about to pick up. This place just went ballistic. What is going on, everybody? It's that time of the week. It's time for your favorite podcast, the official podcast of Southern Honor Wrestling, SHW. This is our wrestling. I'm B-Double Brandon Benefield, GB, Gerard Bonner, no, this way, and the lovely Diana Michelle. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good, man. How are you doing? How's your week?
So far, so good. Can't complain. We got a big guest we'll get to here in just a few minutes, but did you guys happen to see, of course, earlier this week, this past Sunday, the big Impact pay-per-view? Of course, it was a kind of a historic thing that happened. We had the AEW title versus the Impact title, Omega versus Swan. Anybody keep up with all that? That was kind of crazy.
Well, I keep up with this kind of stuff, even though I didn't necessarily watch the full pay-per-view. But, in terms of wrestling history, I mean, you have to go back to like 1980 for when Harley Race took on Bob Backlund, the NWA title against the WWF title at that time in Madison Square Garden. That's really the last time. And then if you, fast forward to the late 80s, early 90s, the whole Super Clash 3 with the AWA title and the World Class title, Kerry Von Erich and Jerry the King Lawler. That's really the last time you had those kinds of championship merging titles, title for title type of thing. This, in my mind, had potential to be massive in the sense of we hadn't seen this, like I mentioned, since those times. I don't know if it was as massive as Impact wanted it to be, but I think for Impact, it's a big deal to have Kenny Omega as your world champion.
I'm curious to see where they go with this whole thing because, it's been a few months since they've kind of been doing the crossover stuff with AEW and Impact. And so I don't know. I have no idea. I told GB this earlier, Diana, before you jumped on with us, but like I almost expected there to be some kind of screwy finish where it was a double DQ or somebody gets DQ'd or something was going to happen there. But we ended up having a clean finish and a clean winner. And it was Kenny Omega, and he's the belt collector. And does he go on to collect the belt in Japan next? I mean, who knows? Like the forbidden door has been kind of opened at this point. Obviously, it's been open for Impact, but the New Japan door was kind of cracked open not too long ago too. So I don't know. And New Japan, there's a tag team in New Japan that has the Impact tag titles there. So it's kind of crazy. And I think about that. You touched on it a week or two back, GB, when we talked about Jericho showing up on the Stone Cold Broken Skull sessions, about how that door was kind of getting cracked open. And what does that mean for promotions like SHW? Could we start seeing even if it's like the NWA coming through and defending a title at one of our shows? Could AEW? AEW's been at our show before, so who knows?
I will say this, a lot of us in the wrestling world are talking about the Impact AEW piece, but I think to your point, the bigger story here is this does open the door in a lot of places. The one organization we did not mention that AEW has really, I think, supported is the NWA. We have an AEW contracted wrestler being Serena Deeb as the NWA Women's World Champion, which adds a whole new wrinkle to things, right? So if you think about it, an AEW contracted star holds an NWA title, holds an AEW title. You
Right.
know, things get interesting. So I do think that the doors are open in terms of SHW to have, you know, someone from the NWA or AEW or Impact. I mean, we've had, you know, Brian Pillman Jr. here. We had Shoot back in October, the Rock and Roll Express compete for the World Tag or for the SHW Tag titles.
Hey,
So,
you know, real quick, we had Kaz XL show up unexpectedly one time, and he just
and
made
he
his
showed up. That's
he
right.
just made his debut at Impact on this past Sunday at the pay-per-view. So
That's right. So I think anything is possible in that regard. And that to me is what makes appearing at SHW so valuable. Why you have to be at the live shows. Because again, when we say anything can
Never know.
happen, anything can happen. Nobody knew that Jericho and Omega were going to show up. Nobody knew that Kaz was going to show up. Nobody knew last month that Zicky Dice was going to show up, right? Like, so there are so many potential things that can happen. And if that door is to be cracked open, I'll just say this, and I know this on good authority, that there are people from other organizations who are looking to be a part of what SHW is doing.
Yes,
And I'm
I
talking about
agree.
organizations that are on television. There are people. So don't be surprised when you see names that you've seen on television show up at SHW. It is a popular thing right now. And I do think that other organizations are realizing the value of that. And so I think this means exciting times for SHW. Certainly for this year, it's just wildly unpredictable. And who knows?
Right.
Can you imagine the possibilities?
they're endless. I
They
can't
are
wait.
endless.
You just never know. And we say it every week. You just said it. You just got to come to the shows and see for yourself. And
Absolutely.
we can't wait for you to join us. Our next one, of course, coming up next Friday, May 7th.
Mm-hmm.
SHW 27. Of course, last week we went through the whole card. We did our big preview show. We did it a little early because, of course, we got a big guest coming up this week. So if you want to get a more in-depth preview, go back and watch last week's episode. But before you do that, stick with us for this episode because we have a very special guest. The main event of next week is going to be a big Bunkhouse Brawl match where the team of Fear, that's Sunny Days, Logan Creed, are going to be taking on our champion, David Ali, and Austin Towers. Now, Fear, of course, will be accompanied by the creature of the night herself, Miss Ravenna Vane. And, of course, that is who our guest is this week. We got a chance to talk with her a little bit earlier. So, without any further ado, here's Ravenna Vane. All right, like we said, everybody, we have a very special guest this week. You know her as 1/3 of Fear. She is the creature of the night, the one and only Ravenna Vane is joining us. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. We're thrilled to have you.
I'm glad you guys had me on.
So excited to see you.
We've been wanting to have you on for quite some time, and I'm glad we finally made it happen. And a lot of times when we have our guests on, you know, especially for a first-time guest like yourself, we want to kind of delve back and go back in time a little bit and see kind of how you got into this crazy world of professional wrestling. So if you could, maybe tell the fans a little bit about how you even got into being a manager here at SHW.
Oh, man. Well, managing was never in my plan, actually.
Yeah.
I never even thought about it, considered it. I was always just, I'm going to be a wrestler, and that was it. And then, in training, I broke my collarbone.
Cool.
So I had to get surgery on that. I have a plate and screws in my shoulder. And it was not too long after I had my surgery and was just starting to feel healed up again that Southern Honor was starting up. Mm-hmm. And Dylan messaged me, and we had never spoken before, never spoken before. And he was like, would you be interested in being a part of this show? I'm wanting, a creepy manager that can talk and look cool. And I was like, I could do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, that sounds like a good idea. And I started doing it, and I actually really love doing it now. It's a lot of fun being able to like just feel like I'm enhancing storylines, and like I get to be my own thing, but also get to enhance other people. I don't know. I like that aspect, and I like being able to talk.
You definitely add to that whole fear thing. They're not fear without you, honestly. They're just, Logan and Sonny.
Just Logan and Sonny, Creed and Days over here.
Well, quick question. You talked about training prior to you being injured. Were you training locally in Georgia somewhere?
Yes, I was training at WWE 4 when I got injured.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, do you still train, or are there still aspirations to be a wrestler?
There are. I've been kind of like on and off. Like it seems like every time I start getting going, life is like, joke's on you. We're not doing this right now. And I'm like, okay. But there are still plans to. It's just a matter of getting all my ducks in a row and being able to truly commit to it. But I do still have plans to wrestle.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's cool. So I'm curious, when did you even first get interested in pro wrestling? Because I know for some it's a lifelong dream, for others it's literally something they ran across and they developed a love for it. What was that like for you?
Well, for me, literally since birth, basically. Both my parents were super into wrestling.
Sweet.
My dad got my mom into it, and they watched it every single night that wrestling was on. They watched it. Like there's a picture of me as a baby, and it's like between these two dolls of Stone Cold and The Undertaker. And I was like just born, like not even 1 year old.
Wow.
And there's another picture somewhere of me like as a baby watching the Triple H and Stephanie wedding.
Wow. Wow.
And so I was like kind of born into it, and then fell off of it for a while. My parents got divorced and we moved away. And my brother and I went to visit my dad one time when I was like 7, 8-ish, and he was watching a Hell in a Cell DVD. And it was the Undertaker and Mankind match.
Yes.
And me and my brother just happened to walk out in the living room like as Mankind was getting thrown off the top of the cage. And we were like, what is going on right now? What are you watching? And we sat down and finished the whole match because, of course, we were like, Undertaker and Mankind, these guys look cool as hell. Like, we have to see what's happening here.
Yeah.
And then we just finished the DVD with him and spent the rest of that visit just watching old wrestling DVDs. And he sent us home with a ton of figures and DVDs and everything he could find. And we're like, hey, Mom, we're going to tell you about this thing called wrestling. And she was like, excellent. And it kind of like became our thing that like, because we were having kind of a rough time, like family wise, since, the move, the divorce and all of that. And it kind of became the thing that brought us all together.
Wow.
And so me, my mom, and my brother like started watching Raw and SmackDown as it aired, and hooked ever since. Like my mom and brother have fallen off a couple times, and I've like not consistently kept up, but like still kept up. I've never truly gotten away from it.
Yeah. No, that's too cool. That's
awesome.
cool. So how then does that lead you to find a wrestling school? I mean, obviously there was a point in time where they were very hard to find. And even if you find them now, it's still kind of hard to get in and stick with it, etc. How'd that work for you?
So I was about 16 when we moved to Georgia, because I used to live in Ohio.
Okay.
And it was even more scarce wrestling wise there. Like when I was younger, like hardly anyone was into it. And I was kind of by myself. And then we moved here, and one of my favorite wrestlers was Drew McIntyre, like his first WWE run.
Yeah.
And I was just like scrolling on Facebook and came across an ad for a show he was going to be at. And I was like, there's no way this is anywhere near me. And then I saw that it was in Georgia, and I was like, hold on.
Wow.
And so, he was here for a Georgia show, and I had never been to any wrestling events or seen any outside of like WWE and TNA. I thought that was it.
Okay.
And so I went to the show to meet him, and like there were so many people. It was an AWE show.
Oh,
Like
okay.
Chip Day was there, Priscilla Kelly, Kiera Hogan, Owen Knight. And I watched all of them, and it was like, it was just wild to me, because I was like, oh, this is like a whole thing. Like this,
Yeah.
it exists outside of WWE. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
and so I kept going to those shows, and I started talking to Kiera, actually, and she was the one I was asking her. I was just like, how did you start doing this? How did you get into this? And she told me about WWA4 and about just the process, because I don't even know what I thought. Like, how did you get to WWE? I was like, I think you just end up there. They ask you to come and you go. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know there was like this whole process and all these other options other than WWE.
Mhm.
And that just like opened my whole world up.
Wow.
And I think I was about 18, 19 when I started training for the first time.
Okay.
And I've trained like 3 different places, but WWA4 was the longest one and most consistent.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
Gotcha. Well, we saw you, I want to say, was it the first Rumble Jack? You actually entered the Rumble Jack. You were one of 2 females along with Danny Jordan. And then there's been a couple other times where you and Danny have kind of scrapped in the ring at some point, where maybe you got the upper hand on her a little bit. But I'm just bringing that up because I do think that there's a want from the SHW fans that they want to
Yes.
see you in the ring, and
Yes.
and us. So
Yes.
man, we would love to see it at some point.
Yeah.
So that's why I
I
asked
know.
where you were at in the training, or if you were ready to be in the ring or not, because I think there's a want for it if you're still
Like,
wanting
you're
to
not
do it.
just some damsel in distress, as somebody
Right.
kicks you in the ring. You can actually hold your own, and I want to see it. I want to see you go
Right.
crazy.
Yeah, I feel it every time I get a chance to do anything. The response from the crowd, like, it jacks me
Yes.
up, and I get so
Mhm.
excited. And I'm like, oh my God, I just want to beat everyone's ass in this building.
Oh, I feel that so bad. We are so, yes.
And on your behalf, Diana, when everyone messes with
Thank
you.
you.
Exactly.
Same.
And you guys, dang.
I was gonna say, what about Gerard?
You guys get messed with too.
Yeah.
You guys get choked with bats and stuff.
Exactly.
Jeez.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
somebody got called out online this week about,
Oh, yeah.
whatever.
Good.
Yeah, David had
Mhm.
some not so some colorful language for me on
Didn't he?
Facebook earlier this week. But anyways, we can talk about him a little later once we start.
We can,
talking about
brush
SH
over David later.
Yeah, we'll talk about SHW 27 and a big match coming up there. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Diana, did you have something?
Yeah, like, who do you feel was most influential to you as a woman in wrestling?
It's actually interesting because, like, I always want to, like, say that it was, like, a specific woman in wrestling that did it, but it was Edge. It was Edge for me.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nice.
that is so cool. And there's nothing wrong with that.
He was just the one that, like, I credit him as, like I said, when wrestling brought my family together, he was the one that all 3 of us were just like, we loved him.
Wow.
And, like, my mom especially, like, really just connected to Edge, and, like, his story with, like, having a single mom who did everything in her power to make sure he could live his dream. And my mom relates to that because she's done the same for me.
Wow.
And just how hard he struggled to get where he was and how much he just loves it.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole comeback story and everything has been
Yeah.
real emotional for me.
Yeah.
Because he's been my number 1 since the beginning.
Wow.
That's cool. Well, I'm curious at what phase of Edge's career would you have really gotten into him? Do you know about what year?
Yeah, it was late, because it was like I came in late to the game.
Well, so the reason I bring it up is because with you being this creature of the night, I was wondering if you were ever familiar with Edge being part of the Brood, and they were kind of the vampires, and I didn't know if you were familiar with that Edge.
Oh yes.
Okay.
When I came into wrestling, like when we started watching it, it was like 2009.
Okay.
So I had just like completely fallen in love with him. He was my favorite ever. And then, you know, shortly after he retired. So I was like, cool,
Right.
great. Thank you.
Right.
But you know, my dad gave me all those old wrestling DVDs, like it was old pay-per-views and stuff. It was before the network.
Right.
Yes.
So I collected pay-per-view DVDs and I watched all his stuff on there.
Awesome.
And also, little side note about the Brood, I actually managed Gangrel once.
Wow.
Really?
Yes, I did.
Neat.
And I got to come out to the Brood theme song, and it was the coolest thing ever.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
That's
That
cool.
is awesome.
That's
I
like
love
one of
that.
my favorite stories ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
man.
that's a great story. How did that end up happening for you?
So it was honestly kind of a last minute thing.
Okay.
So I was going to a New South show. It was for their Haas tournament, and he was in it.
Hey, just real quick, don't tell Gary that we're talking about New South.
Oh, I
'cause
know.
then
Sorry, Gary.
Then he'll shut down the
So
podcast.
sorry, Gary.
Anyway,
So we're talking about a promotion that shall not be named. I take it back.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Sorry,
To mention,
Gary.
there's a sweatshirt at SHW.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get heat with you, Gary, okay? But I went to one of their shows and Gangrel was there, and it ended up just like through a couple different people. Like they basically walked me up to Gangrel
Wow.
and were like, so this girl's in training. She's got a vampire gimmick. Would you be cool if she managed you tonight? And he was like, oh yeah, that would be totally fine. And I'm like,
Wow.
okay. And it was awesome. I got to take the blood spot to the face.
Wow.
Because I got in the way. Like the other opponent shoved me in the way, and I took it.
Wow.
And you know, at the end of the match, like he lost the match, but you know, we still, you know, you showboat after. He's the big star.
Yeah.
And you know, he kept raising my hand up, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'm just a trainee right now. Like, you just met me today.
Wow.
But
Awesome.
he was so nice, and it was really fun being able to work with him. And that's just like one of the coolest experiences, I think, especially being someone who has a vampire character. Like that's the king of the vampires in wrestling.
Yeah.
Right?
Like
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That is
So
awesome.
let's talk about the vampire piece, because you know I'm curious in terms of where you started to encounter that and embrace in terms of that whole persona or that whole lifestyle and stuff. How'd that happen for you?
Honestly, ever since I was little, I've loved vampires, and I can't even put my finger on why.
Yeah. Okay.
You see my beautiful Lost Boys poster in the background
see.
here.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Wow.
Yes.
And two of my other ones include Interview with the Vampire and Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Okay.
I've always thought vampires are so cool because they can either be like just malicious and evil and violent, or they can be like romanticized and sensitive. And I feel like that's two sides of me. So I feel like that's where I kind of relate to vampires.
Okay.
And I also just think blood's cool too. So
Easy enough.
Such a creepy way, but it's cool.
Right.
I love it.
Well, so all right, we kind of touched on. I'm afraid to bring him up, but we touched on David Ali a little earlier.
It's like saying Candyman, right? It's like you don't want to say his name because it's not a
if
Peter.
he shows up,
Oh,
Beetlejuice. It's more like Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Exactly.
you know, Gerard and I
Yeah.
used to say that about Huckabee on the show because
Sure
there was
did.
times where we were afraid to say it 3 times. But now Huckabee's a big level. Now Huckabee's big lovable.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So now it's David Ali. We don't want to say it. Oh, I actually think we've said it more than 3.
I
Anyways,
already said it twice. Just
I've got
in the past
control.
minute.
I've got control at this point on who can enter the chat. So I think
Okay.
I think we're good.
Until they hack us, you know.
Right.
Well, Hanson's hacked us before. Anyways, it's a whole
Yeah.
thing. We'll be okay. We'll be okay. I promise.
Okay.
So let's talk about SHW 27. This has been building for a number of months now, where David has he punted Logan in front of Logan's child. He punted you in the head. He kicked Sonny at one point. Towers kicked Dylan at one point.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been this ongoing thing that's building up. I mean, what was going through your mind when like Towers was bringing you to the ring that night? Like what was going through your mind?
I was
just disgusting.
It was like just more angry than anything.
I saw your face. I saw it. Just let me know, man.
David doesn't scare me.
Mm-mm.
And Towers doesn't even scare me. It makes me so angry when I feel like I can't do anything about it. Yeah. You know, it's a 2-on-1 attack. What am I going to do about it? And, you know, Logan and Sonny weren't able to help me at the time.
Yeah.
And David knew that. David took advantage of that. And I just, especially when he was just talking right in my face, I just wanted to punch his smug little look off his face.
Don't we all?
Someone's got to.
Absolutely.
It's coming.
Someone's got to bring him down a few notches.
Well then, so how did it feel? Was it the last show, I believe? Were you able to get in there and sneak up behind him with the old, you know?
Oh, but she got him from the front. Yeah. She turned him around and got him.
Oh, that's right.
That's
right.
Oh no, I wanted him to look me in the eyes.
Yes.
I wanted him to feel
hear it.
that.
I was screaming my head off. I was like.
Yeah, I wanted him to look me in the eyes before I did it. I didn't want it to be a total sneak attack. I wanted to be like, hey, I'm the one doing this.
Wow.
So are you familiar, or have you ever been involved in anything like a Bunkhouse Brawl match?
No, I haven't. But I also know that, you know, I've got 2 monsters on my side.
Yeah.
This is their domain. It's chaos. It's what they thrive on. It's their most comfortable, you know, environment. And so in that aspect, I'm not worried about it.
Mm-hmm.
I do know to expect the unexpected, to go into it being ready for anything.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, if David or Towers is going to put their hands on me again, I'm ready for it.
Well, I was going to say, in this type of match, I mean, much like a hardcore match, there's no disqualification. So there's, you know, no, who's to say you don't get involved
Bring your
somehow,
weapons,
some way.
man. Bring it. Bring your stuff.
David's going to have his little, what, Big Red? Is that what he calls it?
Mm-hmm.
It's not even red.
It's like partially red.
He had to put like red tape on it. It's a black bat, but he had to.
Yeah.
It's a black bat.
Yeah, it's a black bat that he can't even swing. He doesn't even know how to swing it.
No.
I mean, I've seen him swing it. He swings like worse than a girl. I can't even say swings like a girl because I know girls who can swing a bat.
Yeah, that's offensive to girls.
I know, right? It's totally offensive.
I'm so glad you said that. I would never. We wouldn't say that.
He can't even swing like a t-ball player. He just can't swing a bat.
No.
They called him a wiffle ball player. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
David is just, you know, he's a child who has bitten off way more than he can chew. And especially in this type of match, I don't think he's ready for what could happen.
He has no clue.
He has no idea what he's in for.
So blinded, and I'm gonna say he's so blinded by
what? Blinded by what? She froze. What a tease.
He has no idea.
Oh,
he's so blind. He's like, I'm the savior. Whatever, man.
Sorry, you froze for a second.
Oh, who? Me?
Yeah. You said he's blinded by. And then we waited.
David hacking in.
Oh no! Right. Hang on, let me check.
He's heard enough.
His ears are probably burning. Yeah, because we are.
Oh yeah, he's a player.
Well, I just got to tell you, we're excited for this match. I mean, I can't wait. We can't wait to see you there. But yeah, I mean, I just can't wait for David and Towers both to get what they've got coming.
Now everybody froze. What is going on?
We all froze.
Well, we're still here.
You, Diana.
Yeah. She's frozen like this. I love it. Just
we had an issue with Gerard did that a couple of weeks ago as well. But
yeah.
You know what?
Everybody froze. Everybody froze just then. I don't know what you said.
We're back.
I was the only one moving, the only one talking.
Hey, you know what? We're in this Zoom video chat era of the pandemic era, so it happens, folks. Just bear with us.
Technology is not perfect.
Yeah,
exactly.
However, I do love this Zoom era because it's allowed us to be able to connect with all of the people on our roster, much like Ravenna here, and so it's been kind of a cool thing to be able to do over the last year, to be able to connect with everybody
safely.
Yeah,
That's what's good. Like,
hmm
no boots flying to your face, no
Right.
germs flying in the mouths.
Mhm.
I got to tell you.
Absolutely.
So I did that one interview with Logan at the arena after one of the shows. You guys saw the video, and then of
Mhm.
course it's supposed to be nobody was there, closed set, and then in come Towers and David in front of Little Creed there. Uh,
Right.
so just that instance alone, and then of course you getting punted, Sonny getting attacked. I can't wait. Gerard getting
Yeah.
attacked,
Oh
Diana
yeah.
getting verbally attacked.
I mean,
Um,
constantly. I swear, one day I'm gonna have to just let this arm go and
Do it.
we're
That'll make the
coming.
highlight
I mean,
reel.
Ravenna, I don't know how
yeah,
many times I don't know how many times you've seen this, but I told them last week that we need to make a montage of all the times that Diana has snatched the microphone away from David, because the
Mhm.
way she does it just it cracks me up. I love it. She does it
She's
I'm
so
gonna
like,
bend it,
ferocious.
thank
man. I
you.
can't hold back.
Oh
One
goodness,
day
what?
I'm gonna take it out of his mouth while he's talking, and it's gonna piss him off so bad.
One day just hit him with it.
Yeah,
Pop it, push it up
I
into
gotta
his
get
I'm
a
nose.
sure
good
the
one.
sound people will understand.
Oh,
they
they love
will.
it. It's a cheap mic. They bought it for that purpose anyway. It's fine.
Well,
Excellent.
well, before we let you go, can you talk to people about where they can find you on social media?
On social media, on Instagram, it's at Ravenna Vane. On Twitter, it's at Ravenna_Vane. On Facebook, my Ravenna Vane page. And also, if you guys want to buy merch, support me. Store
Yeah.
Frontier / Ravenna Vane.
Nice.
Gotcha. I knew I forgot
Sweet.
something. I've got a Ravenna Vane T-shirt. You
You
remember?
do. I've seen it.
I just forgot to bring it on the show with me today. But anyways, I think I showed it on an earlier episode one time.
Yes.
Because in the early days of the pandemic, and even still to this day, that was one thing that we all talked about is when all the shows shut down, it was like, how can we still support our favorite roster members, you know, our favorite wrestlers? And that was one
Yeah.
way to go online, buy T-shirts. And so
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And what was the website again for the merch?
Storefrontier.com / Ravenna Vane.
Perfect. Awesome. Was there anything else before we let you go that you want to tell the fans, whether it pertains to SHW 27 or just anything in general?
I hate David Ali.
Yay!
There you go.
That's my closing
please.
statement.
Mhm.
Well,
Go.
what better way to end the interview here with Ravenna Vane than just straight and to the point like that? So we appreciate you
Awesome.
joining us, and we cannot wait to see you on May 7th for SHW 27.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Love you, girl.
Love you.
All right, guys, that was a fun interview, and it's weird to say fun connected to anything with fear,
Right?
but we learned a lot about Ravenna Vane, and you know, one of the things
Love
I
her
al-
even more.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely, absolutely, and to me, I was touched, and I know you were, Diana, as well, by the concept that wrestling really helped to bring our family together. And that's one of the beauties of what we do in this sport. And yet another reason why SHW 27 is a thing to do. So by all means, it's a great Mother's Day gift. Mother's Day will be
Yeah.
literally 2 days away. Bring your mom, bring your family. It's a family-friendly environment. Come join us Friday night, next Friday, for SHW 27. It's something that the entire family can enjoy.
Yes.
It's going to be so awesome. I can't wait, because what better gift for your mother than to take her to see David Ali get his butt whooped by Sunny Days and Logan Creed and perhaps even Ravenna Vane. I am super
Oh,
excited for that.
I feel she's gonna have a part. She's gonna have a little bit more than just that crotch shot she had.
It's a bunkhouse
No,
brawl.
more.
Anything can happen,
Yes.
right?
It's going to
You
be
know?
insane. And you
Yeah.
heard me touch on it there during the interview. But earlier this week, you know, Diana, you mentioned it as well. Earlier this week, you know, we have the Facebook event for the SHW page that we post every single month. And I send out a big blast for invites for the Facebook page. And our savior, David Ali, wants to put me on blast, wondering why I'm inviting him. You know what? It makes me wonder, why am I even friends with him on Facebook?
Why?
That's a great question.
That's
That
on
is
me.
a perfect question.
I guess
Me
that's
too,
on me.
though. No,
Well-
it's not all of us, because I'm sure we are friends with him. If we were not friends with him, we did not have to see all the bull he puts up
He-
every day.
I'm not even going to repeat what he said. It was some colorful language about anyways, you could see it for yourself if you're on the Southern Honor Wrestling fan page, which you should be if you're not, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyways, so yeah, I'm excited to see him get his, you know what, handed to him. That's all I'm saying.
It
Get
also
his class kicked. Class. They have his class.
Yeah, well, there it is. Speaking of things on social media,
Uh-oh. Where are we
anybody
going?
follow Ashton Starr?
Yeah.
What's going on there? Because I didn't
So-
want to say.
In case you guys haven't seen, Ashton posted earlier this week, and he said he decided to put his good Tampa money to good use. Now, Tampa money, of course, being, you know, he had some matches down during WrestleMania weekend, which we were excited to see that opportunity happen for him, right on the heels of the whole Ashton Starr week with the documentary and all those
Right.
types
Yeah.
of things.
Yes.
And I was confused with what I saw. Did he get some?
Am I looking? Is it
facial work?
Photoshop? Is it
Right.
real?
I couldn't tell if there was Photoshop, if there was facial work, if did I imagine that?
You did
No,
imagine it.
No, you
But
didn't imagine it.
I wondered as well. I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out, and you can come and find out for yourself as well, fans, when you join us next Friday, May 7th.
Or did he get punched in the mouth from Tampa?
No, because his
Is
cheeks
that-
are puffy too. So not just
oh.
his mouth in this
Well.
forehead. I don't know. I'm confused.
I'm
I
sure
didn't
that's
wanna-
not gonna
I didn't
win
wanna
me any-
ask. I mean,
Yeah.
is that something you asked? Because if
What?
it's,
I was just about to
I mean,
say,
what?
I'm just glad you're the one breaking it up. And not,
Yeah. I'm sure we have set ourselves up for, you know, just wonderful things next Friday. But,
but
you know,
what else is new, right?
trying to move into a good place with Ashton, but I don't.
but inquiring minds want to know.
I want to know.
I don't know.
I want to know.
And it's not derogatory. It's just a question.
No, I just want to know. I mean, I would never ask straightforward, hey, what did you do to yourself? Because it's a picture. I need to see you face to face before I be like,
Right.
What's up?
yeah.
All right. Well,
Like-
hey, on that note, yeah,
On that note,
let's just go ahead and, again, find out for yourself next Friday, May 7th, SHW 27. We're going to be at the Action Building.
Scooping us out of the ditch here, dude.
right. Just
Tickets will be available at the door starting at 5 p.m. Of course, bell time, or doors
man.
open at 7, bell time's at 8. This show will coincide, of course, with the SHW 27 live pre-show on Facebook from 7 to 7:30. And as always, we can't wait to see you guys live and in person. It's going to be another amazing show, so we cannot wait. But until then, this has been
SHW.
this is our wrestling.
Attention wrestling fans. Southern Honor Wrestling returns to the Action Building Friday, May 7th for SHW 27. Witness SHW's first ever Bunkhouse Brawl Match as the team of Fear takes on David Ali and Austin Towers. The real mean girl, Danny Jordan, makes her long-awaited return to action as she faces off against Catalina Perez. Owen Knight looks for payback as he takes on the outlandish Zicky Dice. Lethal Poison defend their tag team titles against the winner of Technical Excellence versus the Honor Society. Also in action, AC Mack, Ashton Starr, Ben Buchanan, and a battle between two hosses as William Huckabee and Cyrus the Destroyer finally meet one-on-one. Tickets on sale the night of the show starting at 5 p.m. Doors open at 7, bell time at 8. You don't want to miss this show. SHW, this is our wrestling.